Have you noticed that real estate headlines are kind of all over the place right now? One person says the market is cooling, another says it's crashing, and then someone else tells you the house down the street got multiple offers in one weekend. So which is it? Here in our local market, it's a little bit of both, and I'm going to get into it right now. Here we go. I'm Heather Taylor, founder of Tailored Realty Group, where we create real estate experiences tailored to who? That's right, tailored to you. Today we are breaking down the real estate market in Mooresville, Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, and Fuquay Varina. And here's the big takeaway. Year over year, the market definitely looks softer. Month over month, the data is a bit more encouraging. And when you really zoom in to see what is going on, you're gonna see a very split market. So let's get into it. As you see the data scrolling behind me, remember green arrows, whether they're pointed up or down, indicate the market speeding up or trending more towards a seller's market, while red arrows indicate the market slowing down or trending more towards a buyer's market. Also keep in mind when you're looking at the months of supply, 4 to 6 months of supply is what? A balanced market. And anything under 4 months is a seller's market. Anything above 6 months is a buyer's market. When I look at the year over year data, the message is pretty clear. Our market is softer than it was last year. It's not quite as aggressive. Homes are taking a little more finesse to sell. Buyers have a little bit more room to breathe, which I'm sure they're appreciating. And sellers can't just throw a home on the market and assume it's going to turn into a bidding war. So yes, compared to last spring, there was a moderate downward trend. But here's where it gets interesting. When I compare the March data to the February data, the mood totally changes. The month-over-month data is much more optimistic. Now, that does not mean the market is suddenly red hot again. It just means the numbers suggest some stabilization. So while the market is softer than it was last year, it is not tanking, and that distinction really matters. Because if you only look at the year-over-year numbers, it's easy to think everything is just getting weaker. But when you also look at the month-over-month trends, you can see there's still demand. It's a more selective market, and that's why some homes are struggling while others are moving fast. Which brings me to what I think is the most important part of this update. We are in a very split market. Some homes sit, some homes sell quickly, some need price reductions, and some still get multiple offers. If you treat every listing like it's playing by the same rules, you're gonna make bad decisions. Let me show you what I mean using the March numbers we've already analyzed. For homes that had a price reduction, the median days on market was 80 days. Now, for homes that did not have a price reduction, the median days on the market was just 7 days. 7 days versus 80 days. That is not a small difference. You can do the math. It's a completely different market experience. And the price data tells us the same story. Homes that had a price reduction sold on average at 92.75% of their original list price. Homes that did not have a price reduction sold on average at 102.83% of original list price. So one group is selling well below original asking price, and the other is selling above. Same market, two very different outcomes. And holy cow, we got some averaging over list price, which is new for this month. So what does this mean for sellers? You've heard me say it a million times. It means pricing and preparation matter more than ever. This is not the kind of market where you can overprice a home, hope the market proves you right, and expect it all to work out. If the home is priced well, prepared well, and shows beautifully, it can still move quickly and even attract strong offers. But if the house misses the mark on price, condition, or presentation, buyers are going to hesitate. They're going to wait. And that seller may end up chasing the market with a price reduction instead of leading it with proper pricing to start. And this is why I always come back to the same facts. There are 5 factors that determine how quickly your house will sell. That's price, preparation, promotion, location, and the overall market. We can control the first 3. We cannot control the last 2. We can't control your location, and we can't control the overall market. So our job is to absolutely nail the things we can't control. That means pricing based on real data, not emotion, preparing the home so it stands out in the best possible way, and promoting it with a strong plan that involves the MLS, social media, and direct marketing. Then we set reasonable expectations based on the data, and we hit the market with a strong plan of action. That's how you give yourself the best chance to sell quickly and for the strongest terms possible. Now let's talk about buyers, because buyers, this market has a trap for you too. Do not assume that every house should be easy to negotiate just because the market is softer this year than it was last year. That is not what the data says. Yes, some homes are selling below asking. Yes, there are opportunities, but there are also homes selling quickly and selling over asking price. So if you walk into every situation, assuming you have all the leverage, you could absolutely lose the house of your dreams. This is where hyper-local knowledge matters so much. Even within the same town, one part of the market may feel slow, while another still feels very competitive. I know some people prefer to work without an agent, and for some people, that works. But for most people, I recommend finding a knowledgeable local agent to represent you. Now, considering I'm an agent, that probably sounds pretty self-serving, but let me give you a real-life example of why representation matters. I recently had a listing that received multiple offers, which is awesome. And then an unrepresented buyer emailed me directly thinking she could get a better deal because she didn't have an agent. She assumed that since the seller was saving on commission, she could come in with a much lower offer than the others. The problem was, she was wrong about the amount of commission the seller was offering, and her offer was missing several important terms. So what she thought was a stronger offer was actually not stronger at all. And I see this more than people realize. A lot of buyers think no agent equals more negotiating power, but usually it just means less guidance, more confusion, and more opportunity to make mistakes. When both sides are represented, there's usually a smoother process from contract to close because agents understand the contract, they understand generally how things work and how to solve small problems before they become big ones. When someone represents themselves, they often don't know what is normal. So normal parts of a process can feel personal or manipulative. And sometimes a deal can fall apart over something an experienced agent could have cleared up really quickly. That's why your agent matters, not because they unlock doors, but because they help you avoid bad assumptions, protect your position, and make better decisions in a market that's not always straightforward. So here's the bottom line. Year over year, the market is softer. Month over month, the data is more encouraging. And in real life, we're still very much in a split market. Some homes are sitting and cutting price. Others are selling quickly and getting strong terms. So whether you're buying or selling, this is not the time to rely on broad assumptions. It's the time to understand your hyper-local market and make smart decisions based on what is actually happening right now. If you are thinking about buying or selling in the Raleigh area and you want help making sense of your specific part of the market, schedule a free consultation on my website and let's chat. I'd love to help you make educated decisions about real estate. If you found this market update to be helpful, please make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay on top of what's really happening in our local market, not just the national headlines. That's all I got for you this week. Thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Bye.